Here we are at Manassas Junction Bed and Breakfast in Manassas, Virginia. And this is it. It's pretty cool. I shot a lot of interior photos. House across the street from the bed and breakfast. You can hear the train coming out. This is right next to the B&B. Norfolk Southern Railroad. This is the Manassas Visitor Center right here at the battlefield. We're here on the battlefield of Manassas. This is actually the area where the main part of the First Battle of Manassas took place. This is the Henry House down here that you see. And I'll zoom on this in a second because the initial defense line is back over here. But this statue back here, and I'll zoom up on it, is Stonewall Jackson. That's exactly where he got his name. There he is right there.
It would be pretty quick. 1 or 2 battles and we could all walk away and go home. It would all be settled. As they started to walk away from these fields, they started to get the growing sense that this was not going to be so quick or so easy. And as we know from hindsight, the war that followed this battle lasted for 4 years, and it claimed the lives of somewhere between 2 and 2.5% of the American population. Which, if you look at that as a percentage of our population today, is somewhere on the order of between 7 and 8 million people. So you can imagine, had we lived back then in this country, none of us would have been left untouched in one way or another. The year before, my first day back after COVID, the FBI was finishing up an investigation, and it is fairly safe. So if you look at where they are and where we just came from, most of the Confederate cannon are useful. They have a range of maybe 500 yards. If you're bad with distance like I am, welcome to the 500-yard line. They don't need to.
Judith Henry was killed during the First Battle of Manassas.
Here in the 1860s. This is a post-war replacement farmhouse built by the family in the 1870s and 80s because the earlier structure sitting there July 21 of 1861 is shot up rather thoroughly, dwarfing anything that had happened in the Revolution or the War of 1812 or the War with
them. Not a flintlock. Percussion is a little bit waterproof. You're going to see men go into their pouch, and they have a percussion cap of fulminated mercury. It's a copper, looks like a little copper or brass top hat, and they would thumb that on the cone or the nipple here. It's like a strike on anything kitchen match. When the hammer strikes at a blow, it's like a cap gun. It's going to make a spark that vents into the breech. 60 to 90 grains of black powder are going to burn in an instant. It creates expanding gas that pushes the bullet down range. Okay? And he would fire. If you're a rear ranker, you've got a guy right in front of you, you're going to tee your feet. At the ready, you're going to slide your right foot over, and you're going to get in the interval between the two heads up front. And you have to be real careful of your weapons placement. If you're too far back, the muzzle flash happens, and that's a whole can of worms. If you crowd up in here, this explosion here, which can send shards of copper and brass flying, that would happen between the heads too. So you got to be real mindful of those two things. Right shoulder shift, arms. Now some of these modes of carry are, you know, you got this gun way up here and then a bayonet way up here and the sun shining off of it. tactically, it's easier to move across country through a woodland, be less seen if you just find that natural balance point, and that's typically what they're going to do. Aim, fire, load. So again, they're going through that loading procedure safely. As you look at the back of them, everybody's shooting right-handed. Your most important gear in a fight is your cartridge box and a percussion cap belt or cap pouch on your right side. They're going to carry about 40 rounds of prepared ammo. It comes in packages of 10, and you would get 12 percussion caps for 10 rounds. The percussion caps are used to dry out a wet weapon, and also they're little things that you're going to fumble with and drop. Front rank. Ready. Aim. Fire. Load. And again, we got a little offshore breeze. They're taking the powder smoke away. Commence firing. And then they would continue to fight, they would say, on their own hook. They're going to load and fire at will. When the command to cease fire would come, they would finish out their reloading procedure. They'd show they were reloaded and ready to receive other orders. The weapon's half cocked and they're at the shoulder arms. Now, Stonewall Jackson liked firing by file because if you're in a woodland, the enemy's trying to develop your flanks and figure out where you're at. A lot of them believe that acoustically it's this sporadic popcorn fire thing. It's hard to gauge how big the unit is, exactly where its flanks are. Because that's the premise back in the day. If you're Nathan Bedford Forrest, hit them on the end. You want to get around the flank. Get there firstest with the mostest and hit them on the end. And then once you push them, keep up the scare. That's what Bedford Forrest always told me. Ceasefire! So with that, they would load and fire. Load! Aim. Fire. Load!
That sounds so cool.
Fire! Load!
Load! They shot it in the yard!
They called out for the round. In this case shot. I'll explain what that is. Over here they're cutting the fuse. It's a fuse projectile. And this rifle cannon can shoot pretty accurately 1,800 yards. So that's just over a mile. We're shooting blanks. Shooting live rounds somehow agitates Centerville. Stop that. We're shooting blanks. Putting a deadly material out of the end. It's called peat moss. All right? And for safety, instead of having it in cloth, all right, it's wrapped in aluminum foil. So we have to make some compromises for safety because we do not want a cloth bag down in there. It's still burning. Now we're going to explain all these maneuvers we're going through because it's kind of a ballet. Everybody has to know. So all the men on the gun there are called cannoneers. They're all privates.
Fire! He's fire!
Keep in mind, that's not off. You set it off with a little cannon. Now, somebody may have seen a movie with a guy called Clint Eastwood or John Wayne lighting a cannon with a cigar right at the back. And standing in the back and putting a cigar and watching it go boom. Standing there while it goes boom. You can always tell it's a fake gun. Number one is there's got to be a slung fellow. He's got to be the front. He's the guy that has the slung clamper. One end you see the wet sponge just get slightly big. A lot of water in there. Runner's pointing. Satisfied with a point.
Hey!
Ready, 1 and 2, step back from the muzzle blast. And then you're opening the powder bag.
Fire! He's fire! Scared me!
Oh, got a little echo on that one.
Hey.
All right.
This is the stone house here on the edge of Sudley Road and the Warrenton Turnpike that witnessed both the first and second battle of Manassas. Yeah, we're inside the stone house looking at some of the historical stuff. These are pictures of it. This is what it looked like in 1862. It's pretty cool. That's nice. This is the famous bridge at Bull Run. It was actually blown up after First Manassas, but then rebuilt between First and Second Manassas. You can see the creek down there, maybe out there on the Bull Run Creek Bridge. There's the Bull Run, maybe up on the Bull Run Bridge right there. And here's Bull Run right here. Very famous spot right here, because that route, that panicked retreat from the Manassas battlefield would have come over this bridge.